Does this guy not sound like Kermit the Frog? And the answer is no. Hey Jaime, I dare you to say Jumping Jacob jumped over a gigantic gorge on the weekly roundup, and I won. What do I get? Okay, you've got my attention, now what? That's right, it's that time of the week. I am Jaime Rivera, this is Pocket Now, and this is the Pocket Now Daily Recap for last week. So on Monday I asked you, what do you think about external bend tests, as Samsung was being the victim of another bend test. But it was from this insurance company that was clearly in the business of making money selling you insurance. So again, not really something we'd call legal. We have 619 comments, out of which one of them says, I wish every controversy that comes out would stop ending with Gate. And dude, I have to agree with you. I don't think people even remember what Watergate is or know. The Soccer Lover 1598 says, seriously, people are still trying to make Bendgate references. This is as old as F, and no one cares anymore. I've got a note for, and I'm not a whining Apple fanboy, but seriously, it's annoying, and I have to agree with you. I don't trust these, again, bend tests, because yeah, you can bend anything you want with enough force. So is that really the typical usage scenario? You're gonna spend your day bending your phone? The Shiny Falling Star says, your phone isn't made to be a weapon. Any phone would bend with enough force, except the original Nokia. And yes, bring back the old Nokia, but agree with that as well. Then on Tuesday I asked you, if given the option for different leather or other options for backs of the LG G4, which one would you want? As LG had just sent out press invites, and we have a leather back in the invitation. We have 425 comments, out of which David Thomas says, I'd like to see human flesh option for the back of the phone. Next. Ashvin says, personally, anything but leather and glossy plastic would be fine. I'd really like to see soft touch backs like on the Nexus 5, and yeah, I do like polycarbonate as well. It is a good option, and it's great to have options, and not just have one, you can have a couple if it's a replaceable back. That's even cooler. And Alex says, I would want carbon fiber. It looks sexy and feels good, and I do agree with you. I wonder why companies don't invest more in carbon fiber options. That would look really cool. Then on Wednesday, I asked you, if given the choice and having the money to buy an Apple Watch, which one would you pick? As the rumors back then, before the launch of the Apple Watch, was that there were constrained supplies, and that there were certain devices that weren't going to ship until weeks or months later, which ended up happening. We have 124 comments, out of which Lego Craft Nation says, Moto 360 greater than the Apple Watch, and I agree. And Chris H says, I would buy the cheapest Apple Watch because every Apple Watch has the same software and hardware. The only difference is the material and, of course, the price because of the different materials. And no, the hardware is not the same, but I do get your point when it comes to internals. And because this is a first-generation product and we don't know what's going to happen with the Apple Watch 2, then that's the main reason why I would buy the cheapest one. If I still wanted to have an Apple Watch, and I don't. And Eric Lang says, I would buy the stainless steel models with the link band. Looks like the high-end timepiece. And that is exactly the one I wanted, up until I saw that it cost $1,100. Then on Thursday I asked you if Android Wear ever launched for iOS, meaning there is an application that's in the works. Do you think it would cripple the Apple Watch, as those were the news? It seems that there is this application already submitted to the App Store, but it hasn't been approved yet. We have 468 comments, out of which Lucas Andrade says, of course it would. Android Wear watches like the Huawei Watch or the Moto 360 are much prettier and cheaper than the Apple Watch. And prettier is subjective, but cheaper is definitely the case. And even though I do disagree when it comes to the usefulness of Android Wear, because I do like how on the Apple Watch you can launch applications from it, even though these are connected to the phone and vice versa and stuff like that. But yeah, it's better than just getting cards on Android Wear. But my God, for the price difference, you could buy 2 Moto 360s for the price of 1 Apple Watch. So yeah. And Seth Nieto says, I believe it could hopefully be the first step into bringing Apple and Android ecosystems together, maybe. Still being their own OSs, but able to work with each other. The fact that there are so many Google Play services already available on iOS, Gmail, Google Maps, etc., just shows you that there is that already. But I do get your point. It would be cool to see hardware, Android hardware, working with iOS and vice versa. But in the case of Apple, that's not their business. In the case of Google, it is. So it's going to be a one-sided story. Then Hayden says, Jaime, could Apple really deny the Android Wear application for iOS? Wouldn't that be trying to monopolize the smartwatch market for their platform? It would be monopolizing the smartwatch for their platform, yes, and it's their platform, so they can do whatever they want with it. Yes, they can do it. They've done it before with Google Maps. It took ages for them to approve it, mainly because they wanted Apple Maps to take off and it crashed and burned. So this is a different story. Apple can do it. We're not sure if it will. If it does, it's entitled to do so. We wish it didn't, mainly because, hey, if they allow the Pebble and the Cogito and so many other smartwatches to work with iOS, then why not Android Wear? And finally, on Friday, after all the pre-orders of the Apple Watch had gone through, I was wondering if with all the pandemonium you would still want one. Because that's really what happens. When people see that people are going crazy to buy something, that means they want to buy it too. We have 723 comments, out of which Darshan says, no, Apple Watch is overpriced, mainly, overhyped. Yes, overpriced indeed. Yes, overhyped indeed. That's the work of marketing. And I would have to test it before I would say it's overhyped. I think that, again, it could be a really good product, but until I test it. Then Budez says, I bet the Apple Watch only sold out so quickly is because they made so few of them, only to say that they sold out in minutes. And Apple's done that before. We're not sure if they do it intentionally, deliberately have issues manufacturing, and therefore there are supply constraints. We're not sure if that's the case, but it does drive people to want to buy something. So I guess it works for them. And then another commenter says, even if I had S-loads of money, I still wouldn't have bought an Apple Watch just because of the way it looks. Moto 360 any day. I love the Moto 360. I didn't buy it because it's a smartwatch. I bought it because it's the first watch that I've liked, period. Every other watch that I had was a gift to me. I wasn't really a fan, but my God, this watch is gorgeous, sorry. In the case of the Apple Watch, it's practical. I don't find it to be displeasing. I like it. But if I had to pick when it came to design, yes, Moto 360. If I had to pick when it came to functionality, I'd say Apple Watch. So that's a tough pick up until you see the price tag. And that's really what hauls a lot of people away or towards something. That's it for the Pocket Now Daily Recap. Thank you very much for watching. A couple of tips if you want your comments to be featured. Number 1, keep them short. Number 2, stick to the point. Number 3, try to get some thumbs up. It helps us spot them a lot easier. You can also follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You can follow me on Twitter, Jaime_Rivera. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I am Jaime Rivera. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next week.